Hey, good evening, everyone, and hope you all have a great weekend. It is me, Mr. Shelby, and welcome to your daily meetings with me. And hope everyone, wherever you are across the world, is having a great, wonderful weekend. But guess what? Well, no, life doesn't happen to people that are becoming more comfortable. It only happens to people that continues working even though it is a weekend, because you know that weekend happen every single week. But what are you waiting for? And ask yourself, what are you lacking? Knowledge. Knowledge is really important, especially when it comes to online business. I'm sure you know that. Congratulate to everyone that's staying tuned to my YouTube. We're having Alivinci University coming really soon. And that's why me and my team are constantly updating our system and training ourselves, and also providing one of the best coaching system to everyone, so no one is falling behind. That's the main anchor of the company that we have. And today I want to talk to everyone about what is this business meeting about for this weekend, and want everyone to know that today I want to remind you of the business basics. If you didn't see it yet, go to my Instagram and only build it for like 1 week. But besides that, my Instagram started optimizing really well because I'm using 12 different way of testing, and also I know the algorithm really well, right? So I've been doing a challenge with all my students and showing them how to just use a phone to brand anything without too much content, just majoring everything with marketing purposes, I say, with strategies. Yeah, so go check out my Instagram if you haven't yet, because I just hit 63k views and almost 1,000 likes already. And if you didn't know how a split test is, when I know something's working, I double down on it. And also when I see a post start optimizing, that's when I split test 3 different other strategies to see if I can hit the second strategy to be a bingo. So if I know the first one is working, I'll double down and I'll split test 3 more strategies to see if I can find the second strategy. And that's how I keep building to 3, to 4, to 5, to 6 second strategy that is proven. You have to split test when it comes to your businesses. If you don't know too much about social media branding right now, let me tell you this. Content is really important. The year 2025 versus 2026 is completely different, changed a lot. 2025, a lot of people running ads, but in the year 2026 right now, everyone's competing with content. So if you don't have content that can be virally reach to other audience that can capture their attention, then that means you're already behind. So it's not about how much you're posting, it's about the strategy that you're utilizing, right? So let's continue. I want everyone to know that if you want to focus more on how to get conversions immediately, it doesn't take that long. Usually it takes 2 to 4 weeks to build a brand, only if you know how to shoot content and also do marketing and also understand how to run ads. That 3 type of criteria can build you any brand within 2 to 4 weeks of time. It doesn't take that long, because I have a lot of students been asking me, how long does it take you to build a brand? I was like, maximum 2 weeks, 2 to 4 weeks. The reason to that, because if you are helping a social media client, you're supposed to have 2 weeks ahead of content pre-planned. Your client has to produce all the footages, and our editing team will take care of the rest of them. If you don't have 2 weeks ahead of time, then that means you always are scared and you have the urgent of having to keep creating posts. But if you have 2 weeks ahead of time already rolling, then it makes you more comfortable because you don't have to like rush to do things. So try to plan 2 weeks ahead, all right, when it comes to producing your content. And also sometimes if you think that your content is working but you don't know if you're right, to answer that is actually really easy. Because the algorithm tells you, if you post an idea that you think is right, just post it first, and then you see there's people liking it. Not your friends though, cannot be your friends, cannot be anything around you, because we're doing a really high level, difficult way to test. So we always want cold leads, not people that we know, people that we don't know. That's how you know if your strategy is working. So yeah, back to the conversation. So if you have to post once then to test it, and from there you see your engagement, and people DMing you or people understand, or if they're leaving you a comment, the most important thing right now is to trigger everyone to leave your comment in the year 2026. The reason to that, because you're able to use ManyChat or any other automation system in order to send them a link or direct them into your platform or website. So remember this, you have to start posting and test out your strategies. But if you don't know what to do, you can always join me on Alivinci University. That's when I teach more like sales education and also branding and more other shortcuts. And it's only $50 a month versus other company out there. Other people are telling you more like broad things. But for me, as you see in the way how I speak right now, especially if you ask anybody or go to my social media, I'm known as the person that engineers system or reverse engineer system to create shortcuts for every brand. So that's why I'm doing challenge with just a cell phone to build my brand, right? Yeah, without any other hard work. Just to prove that I can build anything, but I choose to build a social media marketing company with a cell phone. So that's actually really difficult. Yeah, but it is what it is. You can see what I do behind the scene. All right, so back to the topic. In right now, the reality of business growth is so important because a lot of people, they're not really failing because the idea is bad, because they're failing because they're not consistent with testing enough. Let me ask you a question. So if you're only posting one post a day, how hard is that? Like if you've been doing that for how many times? Long period of time. So let me tell you one trick to let you know if your one post a day good enough, even though you can do one post a day, but I suggest that 3 posts a day instead of 1. The reason to that, because you understand how to do 3 posts a day, then you're defeating people that only do 1 post a day. But how do you do that? Let me tell you how, show you an example. But so how do you identify if your post is good or not, even though you're having 1 post a day? Look at your social media right now and ask your friend, pull out your cell phone and ask your friend, hey, how's my post? Does it look interesting? That's it. Does it look interesting? Like ask your freaking friend. If your friend said, that's okay, then that means it's not interesting enough. But even though if your grandparents doesn't speak English, you just show them your visual with your social media. Be like, how's my page? How's this? How's that? So you have to get into the way of understanding that if a person doesn't even speak English, they like your video, they understand your post just from the graphics or visual or the message that you've been delivered to them, then that means you're doing the right job. But if you ask your friends, they think your social media is only ordinary, like no different than any other freaking people. And that's the answer. You know what you needed to improve on. It's pretty simple. Just look at your competition and check out for what other people's doing. Don't reinvent the wheel. That's how you know what is working and what's not. I've been telling people that for the last couple of years, and that's one of my best points. Is our team does a lot of research for our clients and stuff. At least take 8 to 12 hours to do research for our clients to make sure our client understand what they needed and what will be helping them in the most fastest way. Because other people are talking too ordinary. So what we do is we'll just show them what is actually working, an example with proof, with result, what we have done for our client and stuff. And that's it. It captures what they needed to know, which is generating clients for the company. That's simple, right? Next, I want to tell you guys why a lot of beginners, when it comes to social media nowadays, they struggle. It's not because they struggle, because they kind of suck at it. Yeah, if you're really good with social media, you can basically sell anything. It is a platform that there's people that posted their content were generated the whole industry of certain food. I forgot. Taco could be generated the sales by 54% because that one post generated, I think, like 12 million hits. Yeah, so one social media post can generate a whole company millions of revenue. So social media is the biggest weapon right now. If you don't know what to do, then you are not even top. You're not speaking a language or money or online income right now. So you have to learn the basics. But yeah, beginners struggle usually because they only feel like working, even though when they're not motivated, you still have to do it anyways. It's kind of like going to a gym. You need to have a lot of reps. So social media, when you have 3 posts a day, then that means you have 3 reps. If you only have 1 post a day, that means only one rep. I see people that in India company, I heard the news that they're even posting 100 times a day, that billion of views. Like think about this. This is not that hard. It's kind of like a game, but reverse engineering to a system that you can make money online easily. But take your time to learn. But besides that, people always changing the plans too often, changing the idea. If you have something already working, double down. Remember what I said earlier, just double down and keep doing it and keep split testing only after you find out the first one working. And then another thing is a lot of people has been just doom scrolling on their phone, looking at things, and then they're not really doing, they're afraid. The more that you scroll, the more that feel like yours is not going to work. So the easiest way for other people that you're scrolling, the reason why it's showing up on your feed, because they tried it 1,000 times or even 10,000 times. That's why it's working. So like I said, if you don't know so much about social media, there's like a lot of shortcuts and everything besides the organic way and that, but just don't suck at it, okay? Yeah, because it's kind of like fun, like a system. Next, attention right now, it is a starting point. If you didn't know that, if online, nobody knows what your company does and nobody seen how good your video are or nobody know your services, then yeah, no one will care about your business. Because nowadays, every business require consistent posting. If the client able to see you once a day, at least on the social media, they can understand about your business. They get to see you versus others that doesn't. And the second thing is you can actually reduce a lot of hard work by giving them more clear directing message. By, for example, you can tell your client about this weekend special that you're running within your sushi restaurant, or maybe certain discount that you're providing on weekends only. What is your weekend special? Then if you don't shoot a video or if you don't have social media, then what are you going to do? Send a text to them, like call them. But instead, if you have social media, you tell 100 client of yours to follow you on Instagram, and one video they get to see it right away. It reduces a lot of amount of work and also save you time and help you with much higher conversion. That's why there's professional ones and there's also beginner ones, right? So yeah. Another thing is people understand your value way more consistent, because if you posting about yourself and then showing them what you do behind the scene, you create more trust factor. They want to know more psychologically what you do, not every time when you're winning. For example, reverse engineering. If people understand how many times that you failed out of 100 times, even though you failed 9 times, but the last 10 times become successful, then that's a storytelling, right? Yeah, so most of the time, people will want to connect with your brand and also know how you built it. The struggle that you're facing is actually the fire and the answer that your customer is seeking. And tension comes from the way that they understand about your business more. Maybe you could be sharing knowledge or telling them what you do and the struggle that you went through. I always do that, right? So we call it U-turn strategy. So you tell people how much your brand is making, but besides that, you have to create more content that how much struggle that you went through. So kind of like reverse. So next, your position really matters, because you have to be posting to be clear, to tell people what you really do. And sometimes you can also say in only one simple direct message. Maybe you can teach your customer something useful if they're using your services. Maybe if you have a snowmobile company, and from there you're telling them you're the cheapest in town, or maybe you're the fastest, or you have a team that can come to your door. But besides that, if you can teach them what snowmobile can do for the environment of your property, versus if you don't have snowmobile business, then you might get a fine from the government. Something like that. So you can create content to increase more value or increase more pain point where your customer wanted to solve. And if you can solve the problem of your client when it comes to advertisement, then they see the trust within you and the brand that you're building that can actually teach them something useful and by conversion at the same time, right? Next, I believe that every serious student should always post one piece of content every day. That's one of the fundamentals, tell people all the time. And second, I always tell them to start a conversation related to business, because a lot of people nowadays, they just going around the circle. They're not really diving into the topic. If you're able to help people to make money and stuff, then that's a direct message. People doesn't need to hear too much about what you're trying to do. If you have a great strategy and it's already been working, then people want to see your strategy and that's been working, right? So what I'm trying to say is your value is so important. You have to provide value that your customer is able to see it. And then from there, you have to start a business conversation with people around you, not people that just wasting your time, because that's really important, because as you know, nowadays, time is passing by really fast. And if you don't have an online presence, then that means you're still stuck in local. And there's a billion population around this world and don't want to be just one of like the people that cannot communicate with the world. That's probably a good way of saying it, right? Yeah, you want to be somebody that actually pretty knowledgeable and people that want to respect you through the skill that you learn by sharing them. How? Social media. If you're that confident, then show them your talent, show them your skill set. Yep. Next, I want you to focus on action and not your feelings. What beginner social media marketer or content creator, they always focus on, oh, how much view do I have? How much likes do I have? How much follower do I have? How much sales do I have? No, that's not true. If you're able to provide offer to people that actually need it, your content will scale right away. And then also you can shoot content to start conversation, getting people to engage with your DM or inside your comment publicly. Because how many times have you guys talked to your friend privately or just on one-on-one? Next day they might be drunk, the day before, the night before when you're speaking to them, and next morning when they wake up they forget. But imagine you know how to create social media, you have a video and something, tell them to watch it again repeatedly, but they don't forget. That's how easy it is with social media, right? But yeah, beginner focus on views, likes, follower, and quick sales. What with professional focus on making offers, making conversations, and also creating system to help the client automatically without needing to explain too much in a most simplified way by creating content for them to understand. And remember this, like if they see what you do with results, even though other company could be like just flattering or like talking like this, but you show the client that you are the fastest person and you have result. Like I built a 90 company at least. But I think like 92 at least. So yeah, I have one of the fastest record. So as you see, that's why I can speak fluently like this with strategies. Because of what I do is I don't really focus on sale. I focus on building a brand. I help everybody build a brand first, and I go with the system that already working. Besides that, I'm a pretty good editor myself, and later on I'll be hitting my own team of editing as well. So what I'm trying to say is, if you understand about content and marketing and advertisement, that 3 key is the true core skill that can turn into any sales with just a phone, okay? Just a phone, internet, and a computer maybe. So sales are really important. If you build a good social media brand, people understand what you do, you're able to solve the issue and explain the value that you have, and also by providing them with product or services that they need, and also handling all the objection on daily basis. You have to help people decide. If you don't understand what you're trying to do right now, then that means you don't know what branding is. Let's say if you open eyebrow tattoo company again, and then the anchor is about eyebrow tattoo, beauty, transformation, maybe those 3, right? And from there, if you able to get more testimonial, maybe reviews, people able to see that your customer providing with feedback how glamorous and how beautiful they become. Thank you to your service because of that. Then from there, you kind of diving into shortcutting a lot of different other strategy because you understand what is your focus point, which is reviews and feedback. Yes. So sales is different when it comes to online marketing with social media. You have to create strategy because when it comes to offline, you just call them or maybe you tell a friend, show them the product, right? But online, you're able to just connect to 10,000 people or maybe 100 people or 1,000 people and stuff by posting a content that they needed, and the sales will come automatically. So you have to understand the strategy behind your content and don't do any ordinary things. Emotional control. So I want you to know that sometimes people could be always jumping between one strategy to another strategy. But if you're not a social media expert, you cannot do that. We're in a social media agency company. That's why we help so many clients from strategy to different strategy, obviously, because every client is different. So that's why we understand the skill set way faster than any others for the last couple of years versus people that just do it ordinary. So don't change too much strategy when it comes to your brand. If you see what's working, keep it that way. Sometimes whatever that's working, it could be a slow week, but I promise you, the same post that didn't really work, next week if you repost them, it might hit the algorithm again. But first of all, you have to understand about how to use 5 different platforms. Number 1, it is Instagram. Number 2 is TikTok. Number 3, YouTube. Number 4, Facebook. Number 5, before it's called Twitter. So that 5 platform is like the fundamental that you needed. So if you're able to repost your video into the 5 platform from the first week that didn't really work, then I promise you that it might work on the second week, okay? Because sometimes it's not working because the algorithm is not optimizing yet. How to test algorithm is, even though you see example number 1 is working, example number 2 is working, but you have 10 different ideas. Not just 2 of them are working because some of them are just not at the right time. So yeah, that's called the reposting strategy. You can search it up. It's really famous about it. We do that all the time with our models. Sometimes some of the models this week is not working with the video and stuff, and next week when we repost, it hit like 1,000, sometimes like 10,000 views right away and got like instantly 1,000 likes. Next, I want you to know that you have to understand social media is more like real progress and a long-term thinking, not short-term. So if you have 30 days, within your first 30 days of building anything, you must split testing. Like what I said earlier, you can watch a video in the beginning again, but it takes a long time to learn how to do split testing with all this hundred of different strategies. But yeah, we only use the one that's working for our clients, and that's why. So yeah, first 30 days, you always want to do the testing because your first one is always testing. You want to see what's working, and your second month, always double down to see what's first month working, track those ideas. So second month is more like laser targeting, all right? First month, you could have 6 to 12 strategies that's working. And second month, from 12 strategies, you want to measure like 6 of them only. And then the third month, then you want to measure another 6 of them from the first month that's already working, or maybe from the one that's you've been split testing. So every month you have to provide new strategy or new ideas to keep the one that's only working. Yeah, constantly testing new ones. If you don't know how to test the new ones, then that means you cannot get anything viral, because how you get the algorithm optimized is you forcing the algorithm to optimize by producing testing content. If your first content doesn't work, but your 2 other one might work, then that means you know that which one's working, the 2 other one works, right? For example, if you go to my social media, you can see that a lot of my video is not because they're not working, because I have one optimized already, and I kept constantly posting different strategy or behind the scenes in order to scale and optimizing the first post. So what that means is if you see the platform is favoring your algorithm, you have to constantly keep testing ideas and keep the one that's working. Complicated, but it took a long time to create the shortest possible marketing glitch system that I've developed, and that's why our client is so satisfied and keep coming back. They can see how much effort that we put in, and also by doing the challenges that showing them without too much equipment or too much expenses, just from our statistical coaching system and experiences, anything can work. That's 3 months. The first month, 30 days testing, and then second month, keep the first 6 strategy or 3 strategy and stuff, and double down on it. On the third month, pull back on the first month to see what was working on the first month that you haven't tested yet, and double down again. Keep split testing. So yeah, next, identity shifting. So remember this, when you are seeing results, you have to keep double down. A lot of people keep switching inconsistently, and it messes up the algorithm. If you don't know the reason why some of your posts is working, and out of nowhere you post something that completely doesn't relate to the first post, that's why it stops the algorithm. Stop that immediately. So many people think that when you post something is working right away. That is not true. If you haven't posted for a long time, let's say for months, and then you post again, even though you're not posting anything, the social media algorithm wants you to stay there by giving you the first post a lot of views. But it doesn't mean your strategy works. You could have messed up everything. So remember this, your client wants to see a clear branding of your social media with any businesses you want, and with clean messages, maybe some type of font of your signature, and also they want to see how much you're able to communicate with them. A lot of my students, I've been training them with talking head, because talking head is one of the hardest marketing out there. But if you're able to train it and communicate with your client with POV style, and you can go more personal, and when they see your face more personal, everything optimized way faster, right? So yeah, you just remember this. You have to pick a strategy that makes you money right away. No matter what I say after this first meeting that I'm teaching you guys, no matter what brand that you're building, if you don't know how to sell, and it will not work with anything. Even though if you have 100 leads, but you could be closing 80% of them or even 50%, but a lot of people only closing 10 to 20%, because no matter what, even though you have advertisement, but people always come to me because of sales. I teach them in sales coaching. Yeah, sales is really important, because if you don't know how to coach your customer, if you don't know how to draw them back, or if you don't provide the right service to them, more likely they'll go to another company that have a better explanation of their services. Someone that's more confident, someone that's more experienced, and someone that's more understanding them. So being a good communicator and is really important. Besides that, if you understand about social media marketing, you have to know how to provide the solution to your client in a way that it helps them solve their solution, which is sales. Last thing, thank you for today. I only have 1.5 minutes left. Thank you everyone for coming to the daily meeting with Alivinci University. And today is your first business meeting with me. And this weekend is really, really extraordinary. I hope you're feeling this episode today. And don't forget that with Alivinci University and Arcane Media, we are currently hiring a lot of affiliate partners and sales operators, training sales team, and also we are looking to train more social media managers as well. If you don't know, then now I'm telling you that you can DM me or Kazumi. And if you want to look for a new career in your life and you see like the content that I'm producing, and later on you see we have a lot of events at Alivinci University. I want to grow this company global wise, and then with the content and the support that you're giving me, it makes me to create more value and educational and more technique for you guys, just like this one. If you didn't know who I am yet, my name is Mr. Shelby. Go to my Instagram at TopJShelby. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my YouTube at TopJShelby as well, and turn on the bell notification if you like something like this one. See you again. Have a great weekend.